And good evening, Michigan. Let me make sure that this is going to pop up here. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe YouTube is deciding to take our comment section. There it is. Got it. You never know with them. You absolutely never know with them. And I'm sure that uh, my next live following this one will be getting me kicked off of YouTube, and then we will be fully switching over to Rumble. Uh, but we'll save that. You guys will love to see that next episode. But tonight, we have a really special guest with us, Chris Howse, uh, Senior Field Representative for Turning Point USA in a large portion of Michigan. He covers a big area with getting schools involved, getting kids involved with having our future be brighter in a lot of senses. And we're going to talk with him tonight a little bit more about who he is, how he got involved with what he does. They got a big event coming up, and he's going to have full details on that for you guys. Tonight is going to be all about the obstacles that we face in our school systems and how we can address these things in general. We're gonna kick out ideas tonight. We fully encourage you guys to be in the comment section if you guys are in here to kick your ideas into the comment section because we want to know everything, especially me. I want to know exactly what you guys think when it comes to our education system with my State Board of Education run. I want to know everything that you guys think. But as we usually do, we're going to cut over to our guest here for the first 5 minutes or so and let him tell you guys who he is and what he does and how he got involved in everything that's going on currently in our state. So we'll let him know who you are, Chris.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ethan. Yeah, really happy to be here. As was said, my name is Chris Howse. I'm from Northwest Michigan, Traverse City area. My family owns a candy store up there, House's Fudge. That's a couple hours north in a town called Harbor Springs. Um, so I got to grow up working the candy store in the summer with my family and 10 brothers and sisters. Right off the bat, I came from a pretty like conservative, like religious background. Religion is a really important thing to me and my family. Taught me all of the values that that I have. Really encouraged me to love America and our Constitution, our God-given freedoms to make choices for ourselves as well. Um, to learn like what has made America great, like what was it? And personally, I believe it's the Constitution and um, uh, our people being capable of self-government, us being a virtuous and moral people that can voluntarily abide by correct principles without having to have a government come in and tell us what to do. So that's kind of like where I grew up. I went and served a 2-year mission for my church in Sydney, Australia, which was really cool. I didn't pick up the accent as well as I would hope, but I can say some fun things like how you going, mate, is like one of the most common things you hear over there. Love being in Australia, met some incredible people. Kind of actually introduced me to activism for the first time, kind of religious activism, and kind of grounded me for doing the same thing politically later on. Um, and it also kind of showed me how in how much trouble the world is, like how much good people are needed to preserve freedom and promote values and stuff. And so I decided to go out to Brigham Young University for college, studied politics and government there. Um, Even at one of the largest private, you know, Christian and very conservative student body schools in the whole country. I was shocked to see that the vast majority of the political science professors were very liberal. This was from 2016 to 2020. I was there. Very liberal. Shocking to me. And so that was something that encouraged me to take a job with Turning Point USA immediately after graduating. Turning Point has been expanding a bunch, and so it was like perfect timing. I had a chance to come back to the Midwest, work for Turning Point first in Chicago, and then the position opened up in West Michigan, where I'm from, and also get to cover the UP now. So, like you said, yeah, everything west of Lansing, including Michigan State, and then the UP I cover now. Um, but yeah, so that kind of motivated me to join Turning Point USA so that I could be going to college campuses, talking to students, giving them the conservative perspective they aren't hearing on campus. They're not hearing it from their professors, they're not hearing it from their friends. If they hold those views, they're openly attacked for it. Their professors will marginalize them in class, they'll dock them in grades. And so, like, kids are up against huge obstacles, and I see Turning Point USA as one of the few organizations that has the resources to give those students a voice and teach them the perspectives that they're not hearing anywhere in college now. So I don't know if that's exactly what you were looking for, but that's kind of my background.
Oh yeah, absolutely perfect. You know, because it is we do have a huge problem in Michigan with it. Michigan's education system, and this ain't no secret. This has been since the early '90s. That's as far back as I can even recall with major things happening, especially after they did away with the millage for schools. A lot of funding was cut, and you get to a point where the educators that do want to be there aren't necessarily always there for the right reasons, and which is a large portion of where you have the problems at now. And then you have the people that do want to be there, but you run into the other side of the problem with Michigan's education system. And now um, it was originally states problems. Now it's a national problem when it comes to funding on a school level. My opinion needs to all go back to the local level. Everything needs to be funded and done on the local level. That way, schools are getting funded,
Absolutely.
things are getting done. Parents know what their dollars are being spent on. They're more involved. They're going to want to be more involved because it is their money and it's right there. It's not driving to Lansing because I've been there. I've been there, done it numerous times, driving to Lansing, go into this meeting, talk to this board, the answers to another board, the answers to another board about how your tax dollars get spent. And it's just, it's so not personal anymore. And there needs to be a absolute um, reconstruction of everything as a whole. And that starts with what our kids are being taught, what's going on in our schools, how they're going to handle different situations that go on in our school systems, not just on an education level, but on a morality level as well. Like we see, what do we see nowadays? Like direct test questions of sex positions and, uh, you know, stealing things and looting. If you go into a store and you loot it, what's the first thing you're gonna grab? Tell me why. Like, and I'm hearing these things out of school curriculums. Some of them out of Michigan, and and this is exactly what groups like, they get their fair advantage in the classroom and all these things. And so many people don't like Turning Point USA and what they say and what they stand for and all these other things. And actually, the event that's coming up in Grand Rapids, I didn't get to tell you, but I actually found a group that's going to be, they're supposed to be there to um, petition or rally against that event, actually, in Grand Rapids. They're a democracy group. Yeah, I've seen that online when I was looking stuff up for the event, and I'm like, it's not like it's some huge thing like the Take Back America tour or something like that. It's a big event, but and even something like that, they're already putting a rally together to boycott against it. But it's totally fine for you to push sex positions and other various things directly in your agenda to our kids, and we can't know about it. We can't do things about it. But as soon as we want to do our side, we are everything. We are racist. We are Nazis. We are, you name it, that's what we are. Because this is what we decide that we want for our children, for our future, for generations to come. But they can do and teach all these abhorrent things. Exactly, William Moore. Uh, Bill Moore over here in the comment section. Local levels with 3 exclamation points, having a voice from your own backyard. Exactly. Exactly. Because not only on the money aspect, but like a community like mine here, you have people that aren't going to leave this community or are going to go very little away from that. They're not going to go to big cities and have these big lawyer and doctor jobs. Some will, and that's what college is for. And some people will choose to do those things and go those courses with their lives. And that's what, in my opinion, higher education is for. And when you put it to the local level, that puts your education back to what your community finds important. And that may be in what's being taught, what's morally valuable to your community, because then you're raising people that are going to contribute back and that are going to be nice to their neighbor and that are not going to feel as frustrated and the world isn't as big because they have those choices. That would incorporate a whole reconstruction system to the education system, which people like myself and Bill Moore are in full support of. For example, if every taxpayer in America paid $2 per paycheck, according to how many people did their taxes with the IRS last year, if every American paid $2, we could do away with the Federal Department of Education.
Wow.
All the overhead,
Okay.
all the extra whatever, pay this person, pay that person, do this, do that. No, I mean the money, the original amount that went into the Federal Department of Education before they pay all their people and do whatever before it gets to our kids. That original amount, us as Americans could pay that with $2 per paycheck. We get taxed already. Why not? You know,
I absolutely agree. Um, that we also need to localize. I think one of the issues with our system is that it's gotten a horrible case of groupthink. They all think the same way, and once that's gotten corrupted, it just spreads like wildfire everywhere. And what we used to do, I just kind of read this about the founding fathers' approach to education because they wanted like general civic values promoted at like via universities. But some of the things that they wanted promoted was not just education, but they wanted morality, like you said, character development was important. Patriotism was a big part of it, and then knowledge. And now our system has gotten so far away from character and patriotism, and now we're not even doing knowledge properly because the students aren't being taught facts on both sides of issues. They're being taught opinions and narratives that only cover one side of the story. And so it's to the point where it's almost corrupted through and through.
and it's because we have too much intertwining of politics in the school system. Bill Moore Again, religion, morality, and knowledge, not just civic education. Exactly. It's like we see, and they tried covering it up. The Michigan Democrat Party already said that that parents' ideas that that those are our children is some crazy idea. That public education is education for the benefit of the community as a whole. Now, granted, I'm paraphrasing, but they took it down. They tried to retract it, but everybody has it. It was everywhere. It was on everybody's news feed. These are not the people that we want in these positions, and that's part of the problem in Michigan. Is we have a board of education. Not only well, there's a multitude of problems with them. When I spoke to them the last time, I told them, they need to get back to their main job, their constitutional job, which is the appropriation of funds, where they're going, how much is coming in, how much is going out, how's it being regulated, keeping track of how is whatever is being spent. There, people are wanting, and boards of education are overstepping their boundaries in these last 2 years, more than the last two, but especially in the last 2 years. And part of that problem in Michigan is we have 6 liberals on this board and 2 conservatives. And trust me, you can tell it every time you go into that room. You can tell where those lines lay and where opinions set at. And you can just look back and it's just a battle. It's like David and Goliath. You got these two people that their voices are just crushed every single time, all the time. And,
That's so annoying too, because we have conservatives in our state than liberals, but we're always outnumbered in the official spots.
yeah, and it is absolutely crazy too, because especially me, I live in what I call a conservative country, USA up here. We're the part of the mitten up here that was all red on election night. There wasn't no variance. You won't find a liberal in a seat around this area for, I wouldn't say, I would bet my money, I would bet a year's worth of money on probably 60 miles. And yet, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because that's a whole nother ballgame of who plays these games, especially when it comes to groups in Lansing who play these games with which money gets appropriated to which direction. But that's why it's wonderful to have things with all of this nastiness going on and all these things that we're fighting and we're trying to do all these things all the way to the state level. Like I was saying, groups like Turning Point USA, and they have this fantastic event that's going to be coming up in what day is it again? I forget. It slipped in my
It's
mind.
Wednesday, say the 23rd. So
23rd. And there's
yeah,
going to be a lot of stuff going on there. And Chris, you got full details on that, right?
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, 7 p.m. it starts on Wednesday. It's going to be at Michigan State campus. Wells Hall is the building it'll be in. You can park at the Spartan Stadium. Um, there's even going to be a meet and greet for adults if you want to come. That's at 6 p.m. Otherwise, the doors will open for the general event at 6:45. So, yeah, if you guys are anywhere near Lansing, I'd highly recommend coming out. We're expecting to 300 people in attendance. Scott Atlas, if you're not familiar with him, is was one of Trump's advisors on the COVID task force. One of the few sane people on the task force, and he openly pushed against the policies that Dr. Fauci and Deborah Birx um, uh, advocated for. Um, so he's also a senior fellow with the Hoover Institute out at Stanford. He was given the Freedom Leadership Award from Hillsdale, which is pretty cool. Um, and he's been what's valuable about hearing from him is that he's been a public policy, or sorry, a a public health expert for the last 20 years. He's been studying the effects of different public policies, how they've affected health and whatnot. And so he has very key data on what have been the results of these lockdowns on different states. What have been the results of mandates? Did they actually prevent the spread of COVID-19? And the data that he has shows they clearly didn't do a very good job of that. But they were incredibly harmful to public health in so many other ways, while they infringed on our freedoms. So it's just crazy because they act like, our officials tell us, hey, we have to take away some of your freedoms and your constitutional rights, in the name of public health. It's just so important so that we can protect everyone's health and safety. But then you look at the data from Atlas, they hurt public health probably more than they helped it while they took away your freedoms. And so that's kind of the really important message that Atlas will be delivering on Wednesday, that we would love for everyone in the community to come out and hear so that we can show the state, so we can show Michigan State's liberal administration that we oppose the medical tyranny that they're implementing in our state, that they're forcing on our kids, forcing mandates for vaccines, making them get them even when they have a religious or medical exemption, when they literally could be in danger medically for taking the vaccine. The school is still forcing them. So, yeah.
And see, and that is just so insane, man, that I just can't believe that, you know, we live in such a topsy-turvy world of, you know what, I really cannot wait until I get my new camera. Cannot wait. That way I can stop using this ridiculous app. Oh, and by the way, the makers of this app, this IV cam, you suck. It's terrible. It's terrible. I paid like $25 for a year's worth of this, you know, and they don't give you like a month that you can do, or a few months, or no, a year. You can buy it for a year, and you did a terrible job, just so you know. But anyway,
Well,
you
for
know,
anyone,
it's insane to me the amount of hypocrisy of, we heard for so long of, listen to the science, listen to the science, listen to the science, listen to the science, listen to Fauci for president, listen to Fauci, do what he says, and then there you get all these new revelations, all this new science, you know, that these, especially when they want you to go and get this third, fourth booster, whatever they're pushing, 17th booster bill. Constitutional rights can only be relinquished by three measures: one, death; two, individuals yielding; three, through the grand jury by conviction of capital crime. Exactly, exactly. And you know, they do this huge push with the science, the science, the science, and now we're finding out, and there'll never be retractions of, you know, oh, masks really weren't that important. Oh, like you said, social distancing and all that really wasn't that important. But yet, people like me and other YouTubers and people that go on Facebook and other independent journalists and researchers have been kicked off, banned, deplatformed, demonetized. Are we ever going to get anything back? Are we ever going to get any redactions from CNN or NBC or any of these outlets? And it even applies back to the school level. Why do we still even have any form of a mask mandate in schools? And the 6 foot apart, which is causing our kids to have mental health problems, namely mental health problems, because they're not getting socialized, they're being isolated, they're being cut off. They have been for going on 3 years now in some places. And it's your conditioning. It's not social distancing, it's social conditioning. It's like it's a form of brainwashing. You're coaxing the next generation. When I see 2 and 3 year olds walking around with masks, especially when a parent does not, especially when the kid is now simply doing it for the aspect of comfort. That's when it really gets to me. That's when it
It's
really
mess.
gets to me. Because I've spoken with some of these parents, and you know, well, and I haven't gotten to talk to many of them, but um, I've asked a couple of them, why are they wearing a mask and you're not? And they tell me because it makes them comfortable, and that's the word that both of them used. Makes them comfortable. That we don't want that. We don't want that. And so now, and the other aspect in my head anyway is okay, you're not wearing a mask. They feel comfortable with a mask. Why? You're the parent. You're the leader through this thing we call life and, guide them through the world. Why are they comfortable wearing a mask, but yet you feel totally fine without one? It obviously did not come from you. That's the other scary part of this. That people really need, whether it overall they mean nefarious deeds, which they do, they mean nefarious deeds or not, we still have to look at what's happening. Aspects like that, they're going to trickle all the way through the future. That uh, children are feeling comfortable and treating this as normal. This was a snippet of time. This was supposed to be a snippet of time throughout history where everybody did this and then life got back to normal. This is not supposed to
Right.
be this is not supposed to be the new normal. This is not supposed to be what we go to forever. And that should scare everybody.
And that's, yeah, like I'm walking around Michigan State campus today even, and they've even ended the mask mandate just in this last week. But there's still students outside alone have their masks on. So it's not just little kids. It's like we have full grown adults that, like you said, either have comfort in it or they're still buying into it. And I think that's one of the issues that Scott Atlas points out too, is our government officials haven't updated their policies based on the science. Like, maybe when this pandemic first struck, we didn't really know maybe masks would help or, what the effect of all this would be. But then we had Denmark, for example, do a randomized control trial or, a pretty natural experiment on whether the mass actually made a difference in their country. Huge, sample, thousands of participants showed zero difference, negligible difference, whether you wore a mask or you didn't. And our government officials didn't update their policies at all, and sadly, a lot of our adults have kind of just done exactly what our government officials have told them to do. So,
Yeah, all the way down to the local level, health departments, sheriffs, prosecuting attorneys. Like I said, this is never supposed to become the new normal, and we should never let this become the new normal. We want our world back plus. But it's like I was reading Bill's comment down here. Through fear of death, many will yield their rights in support of a temporary security of life. Thank God our fathers and the militias didn't feel that way in the chilling cold of the Delaware. Exactly. We have, and I've thought about that a lot. Could you imagine that? Even up to the time of the Civil War, you're a revolutionary or Civil War soldier, and you have to truly believe in what you're doing enough to get up every morning knowing that you're going to freeze, you could possibly starve, that you could be eaten to death by bugs, you could get an infection from a battle wound and be dead the next day. Every morning, get up knowing those things, and still you press on. It makes the things that we should stand up against now feel, like Bill said, so minute. But we've seen it again with the Patriot Act too. You just rewind just a little bit, just a decade ago, and we've seen the same thing with the Patriot Act. Same exact thing. Bad thing happens. Here, give us your freedoms. We'll protect you. We'll do this, this, and this, and this. And then, boom, Edward Snowden. Like, that's all I'm going to say about it for this episode. You know, but
Yeah.
it's the same bait and switch. It really is.
Yeah, and then they don't even provide what you're saying. Like they promise, hey, look, give us some of your rights that we have no right to take. It's, literally illegal. The Constitution is the highest law of the land, and it can't be altered except for by the will of the people through state conventions. It has not been altered. So they're illegally taking away our rights, bribing us with safety and health, like you said, and then they don't even deliver on what they promised.
It's like a famous quote that I like is, I'll take the chances with my security and also keep my freedoms, because there's not a choice between the two of them. I can provide my own security as long as you don't take my firearms. I can provide my own security, and then I will get to continue to keep my freedoms as well. We That's another part of where we fail in this is we count on others, not even just the government, but just others, health directors, boards of health, all these, the World Health Organization, all these other things for our security when it comes to a physical attack, a viral attack, whatever the case may be, instead of empowering ourselves. And that's what's so beautiful about finally, this has been going on for decades. Don't kid yourselves. But finally, everybody is starting to wake up and see what's going on, and we're starting to have the pushback. And that's why groups like, Project Veritas and Turning Point USA, and our group that we just recently started with, the Constitution Accountability Coalition. All these things would never be able to be possible if we hadn't had this awakening of what's actually going on. But it's coming to about that time, you guys. We're going to get this close out, and we're going to get these last details about how you guys can get information for this event coming up, where you guys can go website wise, and get you guys to this event, get you guys as kids to this event. It's going to be important for our future to know what happened. Don't let them erase it. They're already starting it. They're already starting to do the erasing. There's documents that you already can't find in existence anymore. Don't let them erase it. Help keep this in the knowledge for future generations so that stuff like this never does happen again. Pandemics are going to happen. Epidemics are going to happen. We know this. That's it's a definite. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But how we handle those situations, that will always be the key. And that's just this time. What's it going to be the next time? We already know what it is now. World War III is on our doorstep. And take your pick next time. But
Yeah.
we are going to let you
That's
close this out, my friend, with your final comments and thoughts and being here. It's been
cool.
a great
Thank you.
episode.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. I agree with you, by the way. Are a lot of college students, this is why Scott Atlas is so needed. The students that I talk to think one of the reasons that we failed to prevent the spread of COVID-19 was that government wasn't big enough. We didn't fund them well enough, and we need to expand government so that they can respond better to future pandemics. Kind of like the climate change thing, right? Like the only way we can solve this is by giving government the control. And so if we don't educate the students and say, hey, look, it's not the government that needs to be funded. They were the problem in this. If they had followed the science, if we'd had focused protection like people like Scott Atlas and Martin Koldorf advised, we wouldn't have had the deaths that we did. Um, so yeah, anyway, that's why this event is so important. I once again appreciate you having me on to pitch it. It's way that you can get tickets is go to eventbrite.com. Just type in Scott Atlas, Michigan State University. It's going to be the first or second option on there. And yeah, you can get a couple free tickets, easy, $10 for adults, free for students. And just like you said, like we're already starting to have people try to forget about these lockdown policies. Hey, they're over, like it's done with, it's fine. We can't let them move on. We need to show everybody, hey, no, these are the policies they went with, and this is the aftermath. This is the destruction that came from it. So,
And you know, and that is the ultimate thing is you can clearly see that it is just normal now for our information to be stolen and for them to use it for whatever. And now, like we were saying, people just walking around, mask on, totally normal. People driving in their cars, mask on, totally normal. Even though all these, we do not, we do not want another thing to become normal, and we definitely don't want people to forget. And uh, God Almighty, it is fantastic. People are not forgetting. People are not forgetting. And it all started, in my opinion, when everything started with Russia and Ukraine. This is the first time on a mass scale that I have seen everybody going, wait a minute, wait a minute, hold up, hold up. What about all that stuff? What about all that? And so we're just switching over now. Finally, I've been doing this 15 years. Not the show, but I've been doing this 15 years, and it's a beautiful thing for me to see that I wake up every day and finally there's thousands and millions of people going, hold on a second, because make no mistake, this is all part of the plan. Us, our children, our children's children, forevermore. This is part of their plan. That's another reason why groups like, and I guess we should have clarified also, for those of you that don't know, Turning Point USA is a pro-America, pro-capitalism, pro-ethics and values group that goes around to various schools, high schools, college campuses, things of that nature, and promotes pro-American ideals. So if you're a parent and you're interested in having your kid involved in something like that, you can start chapters on college campuses and schools. They can get involved themselves, and this will help them. And it'll be a fantastic thing for them to be involved with. And once again, not let these things be forgotten as we move into the future. But
totally.
But I thank you so much, Chris, for being here. It has been fantastic, and we are definitely going to be having him back on at some point to keep us updated on what's going on with Turning Point USA and what they might have going on in our state and across the country.
Awesome, man. I would love that. And thanks for having me, and thanks for what you're doing. This is a cool show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. No problem. Yeah, we just right down the middle try to give people the information that they need directly. No sugarcoating, no media nonsense on it. And
Okay, so nothing like the media we have in
yeah, right.
mainstream media.
Exactly. Because it's like I always tell every one of you, and this will never change. I always want you guys to question everything, because when you're out there, you have to make sure that you stay safe and you stay informed.